All right, we kick off the third hour of the Elias Smacko Show by welcoming back Tasha Kheiriddin, one of our favorites around here, writer, commentator. You can read her in the National Post and on her Substack, and she's on the line. Hi, Tasha.
Elias.
So first things first, Tasha, we got a big story to get to, what you recently wrote about, but I think I must ask you off the top here. Did Tim Hortons tell you won a boat in the last week? Were you one of those people?
No.
No? Okay.
No. I never won anything from the roll-up contest, and no one mistakenly gave me a boat. I'd take one, sure.
Seriously, man,
Thank you.
Not only do you not win the contest, you don't even win the things that nobody has actually won in real life. It's unbelievable.
No. I never got the free coffee. I never, the basic little, no.
Okay,
No.
Listen, I guess this is a very Canadian question. Are you, if you had to get a cup of coffee from a chain shop, okay, Tim Hortons, McDonald's, Starbucks, a second cup, give me the chain shop of choice for your cup of coffee.
Starbucks.
There you go. Okay. Well, say, listen.
I'm a Starbucks, yeah.
You are not alone. Some people would call you Laurentian elite with that answer, but I digress.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. I know. But,
So let's get to why you're on, Tasha. Let's talk about the budget. You recently penned a piece on your Substack. It's called Confessions of a Spendaholic. Tell us more.
Well, what can we say? The government has decided to spend more, regardless of the fact that they don't have the money in the coffers. They're going to have to borrow some of it. They're going to tax. Now we know the tax on capital gains is going to, the inclusion is going to go up from half to 2/3. And they don't see the forest for the trees. This means that we will have higher deficits going forward. We will also have higher interest payments to make. In fact, interest is going to rise from about 8% to 11% of GDP over the next few years, and it's already more than health spending in total. All the money we spend on health, we're spending more than that from the federal government's perspective on interest on the debt. That's not even paying it down. So I said confession of a spendaholic because this is, it's like that the Becky Bloomwood stories of Confession of a Shopaholic, where she just could not stop herself, kept buying things, and in the end she had to sell all her stuff to pay it back. Except here, what's the government going to do? Is it going to, sell? There's nothing they can sell to do this. So
that's it. In this instance, it's not like they could go to Facebook Marketplace and get back 50 cents on the dollar. You can't do it here.
No, you can't sell your shoes. No.
Okay, so Tasha, listen, on the tax hike, the capital gains thing, okay? There's a very quick comeback. I have seen it ad nauseum in the last week. Well, who cares? It's, if rich people pay a little bit more, who cares? What would be your response to that from the center right perspective of this country? What would be your response?
It's not even center right. I think what the government miscalculated here is they assume the rich piece is, okay, so we're going to tax wealthy people who have more than $250,000 of capital gains in a year. Excuse me. And those people, they're not going to miss that little slice. It's 0.13% or something they said of the population. What they've miscalculated on here is that the people who get those capital gains, in some cases it's not about being rich. It's about deferring the tax, deferring the sale of something. Doctors, for example, who have a practice, they sell it. It's their retirement, right? They sell it. When they sell their practice, they'll get a whack of capital gains because it's all at one time. You can't just sell your practice in pieces. They do that when they retire so that they have a retirement to live on because they don't have a retirement plan like at a work, like at a job. You have other people, other professionals as well. So to say these people are all rich, first of all, is wrong. Then you've got the people who have, a cottage they inherit from their parents, and they've had it now for a number of years, and they want to maybe sell it. Maybe they have to sell it, right? And then they're going to get an increase in inclusion. Does that mean they're rich? Define rich. I'm sitting in Toronto. You need $263,000 a year as household income to be able to buy a house, to qualify for a mortgage, to buy an average house in the city. So are you rich? Some places in the country you would be, but here you're not. So it is whacking people all over the country in different ways that the government didn't, and I don't think they're being dishonest about it, didn't expect or didn't do their homework on. So, no, it's not just about being rich, and that's not the point of the exercise here.
We're with Tasha Kheiriddin, writer and commentator. Latest piece on her Substack is called Confessions of a Spendaholic, and it takes a look at the recent federal budget. So, Tasha, let's talk about restraint that governments sometimes have to show and tightening of the purse. They mention, hey, we're going to eliminate 5,000 jobs, public service jobs, through attrition. What about that? What's your take on have they done enough to rein in spending in places?
Well, no, the public service has grown under Justin Trudeau. It has grown, and so cutting it back, well, it grew more than it did under Stephen Harper for the same period of time. There's no real justification for it, except for the fact that the government has created a lot of programs that need to be managed. Things like childcare, things like now dental care is coming in. Pharmacare is on the books. All these things, of course, when you create a program, you hire people to manage it. And so they've increased the number of people who are on the federal payroll. This is also a problem. This increases the cost of government over time because you have to maintain it. And then, of course, your budgets somehow miraculously they keep getting bigger, right? So cutting 5,000 people by attrition, it's a start, but it really is a drop in the bucket. And it speaks volumes, I think, to how the government looks at the public versus the private sector. It's, they are not focused. This budget is being heavily criticized for not encouraging investment, for not encouraging the private sector, but the government has encouraged the public sector. They believe that they're the answer to a lot of our problems. And as we know, in fact, the growth of the public sector will cause problems, especially in the form of interest payments and greater costs down the road.
Tasha, in politics, it's all worth it if it wins you elections. But so let's talk about this aspect. I've heard a lot of talk, or background talk. Well, this is the thing: the Liberals have an internal target to close the gap by 5 points, thanks to this budget news and that kind of stuff. Do you think this type of spending, this budget, will convince Canadians, hey, come back to the Liberal Party? What are your thoughts on if this is actually, maybe it's not good long-term for the fiscal part of this country, but what about politically? Is this a good budget?
Well, they think it will be because they are focusing specifically on the millennial and Gen Z vote. The people who are really hardest hit in terms of ability to buy a home and ability to even rent a place, and affordability is their top-of-mind issue. They've lost those voters to the Conservatives. They want them back. So they're thinking, if we make it easier for you to do these things, house buying support, rental support, all these things, you will be more likely to vote for us because you will get those things and say, oh, thank you, Liberals. But here's the kicker. It's not necessarily true these things will happen by the time the next election rolls around, right? You can't just build a miraculous number of houses between now and a year and a half from now. It's not going to happen, one. Secondly, I think a lot of cynicism has set in, and especially now with the budget, I think they did a great job from a PR perspective going up to the budget, every day dropping something, and they, happy announcements, look how great we are. And then the budget, however, was like a bucket of cold water in terms of the debt numbers, the deficit, the interest payments, and then this whole taxing piece, which I think they didn't understand the pushback they would get. They made a mistake on that one. They thought, okay, we'll just paint it as something for the rich, and that's the end of it. Who can oppose that? But actually, they annoyed groups who have a lot of time and resources to fight these changes, such as doctors, for example. They have lots of lobby and advocacy groups, other professionals as well. The business community got mad. So it's like the squeaky wheel. It's like, if you remember the dairy lobby, right? Mm-hmm. You made them mad in Quebec, and Maxime Bernier lost an entire leadership over that because they have disproportionate amounts of resources to throw at this problem because it really affects them. So they will dominate the news cycle. And guess what? Now we're talking about this instead of all the good things they promised to people. So it makes them look bad. So I think at the end of the day, this will be a wash for them. I don't think they're going to get a boost from it.
I'm going to ask you a question here, and I don't know if it's a softball or it's a curveball. I really don't know. How do you think Pierre Poilievre is doing as leader of the Conservatives?
Well, I think he's got a really easy ride. I mean, if you... It's like Trudeau did when he won in 2015. It was an easy ride. People were tired of the government. The issues were not trending. Things were not trending in their favor, right? People actually had it very good economically under the Conservatives. I think so good that they kind of forgot, that they could turn their attention to other issues like, legalization of marijuana, This sort of like issues that if you're starving or you can't pay your rent, you don't really care about, right? But there became these kinds of issues, equity issues, Indigenous issues, all these issues that Trudeau was saying we're going to make fairness a priority. All this stuff that you have the ability to deal with when things are going well. So he surfed that wave. Now Pierre Poilievre is surfing the wave of discontent. The fact that people can't pay these things, that the economic problems are first and foremost. So those issues are good for Conservatives, plus people are sick of Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. He's got a really easy ride. So he's hitting all the right buttons. He's doing all the right things. It's right place, right time, and he's on that wave.
Hey,
so I can't assess. Sorry.
No. Just finish your thought there, Tasha.
I was going to say, assessing how well he's doing as leader, he's certainly got his caucus united behind him. There's no signs of cracks there. So I think from that perspective, he's also doing a good job. That the proof will be they'll win when they win the election. How does he manage things going forward after that? That's going to be governing harder than opposition always.
Surfing the wave of content should be the title of your next piece, by the way, Tasha. Good title right there.
Good, thank you.
Got to leave it there. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Tasha Kheiriddin, a writer, commentator. Can check her out on her Substack for that latest piece.